All right, everybody, we're back. This is part two of the Legend of Keret. Um, and you know what? Another reason that this is exciting is that because, I mean, when I was listening to the synopsis, the story sounded just very boring. Um, it's just not good story because the characters I thought were all a bunch of jackasses, and I didn't really sympathize with any of them. But again, I haven't read the original source, um, and that's what we're doing today. With this is the only version I could find. But you know, um, these are Phoenicians or Canaanites or Western Semites. Um, so one, so I mean, who are these people, right? Who are the Phoenicians, right? We know from the history that they were a bunch of merchant aristocrats, right? Um, some of the first factories in the world came from these places, treating humans as if they're robots, right? Um, and when I was learning about the synopsis, I definitely saw. Uh, I mean, you have the elite class, and then you have the slave worker class, right? And this is what Canaanite was. I mean, they didn't have a huge population numbers because they didn't have an abundance of agriculture like Egypt did, right? Um, but when you listen to these gods, right? These gods are all about conquest, right? Conquest, rah, as if they're these big warriors or something. I mean, the Phoenicians and the Canaanites were never known as warriors ever. Um, do. I mean, like somebody like Hannibal, he's not he's not a general uh, of Phoenician troops, right? He's a general of multinational, multi-tribal troops, right? So, I mean, like we know that from the histories of the Phoenicians that they would go to some places, and then they would they would sail there with their boats, and they would drop off goods, and then they'd leave back to their boats, and they'd drop off a variety of goods, and then the people who are in the area, they would come in and pick some goods out, and then leave a sampling of their own, right? And in this way, they were able to communicate with some of the what we I guess what we would call less civilized tribes who lived along the coastlines. But from the version I read, it was basically saying that they were also presenting themselves to these people as gods, right? Um, I mean, they cheat people, right? That's what they do. Um, the Phoenicians would go around the Mediterranean, and of course they would support, in the same way that America goes into Africa or anywhere else, and they'll support the criminals to take over, so that those criminals can give the Americans a good deal. Phoenicians did the same thing. They'd go around and they would promote the vain and the stupid and the corrupt, to rule over these different tribes so that the Phoenicians could get good deals. Um, they were, they had no dignity or no honor within them, these Phoenicians and these Canaanites. And they went around telling the people of the Mediterranean that the color purple, which they had access to from these snails, um, this is one of their resources. This is purple was a resource of Kana, of the Phoenicia and the Kanaana. Um, and what they did was they went around just telling everybody that purple meant royalty. Oh my god! And purple was like so totally expensive, right? Because it means royalty. Oh my god! And you had all these vain idiots who they supported all around the Mediterranean who were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get some purple, oh, purple." Um, there's this other story. I think I was reading either a Roman or a Greek history original source, and the Phoenicians stopped in southern Italy. They were, I think, fighting with the Romans, or they were either fighting with the Romans or they were fighting with the Sicilians, one of the two. Well, actually, they were always fighting with the Sicilians, but um, yeah. And anyways, they stopped in southern Italy where the Greeks were, and they stopped at this Greek port. And these Greeks were duplicitous to the Carthaginians, right? They were duplicitous to them, and the Carthaginians were fooled, right? And after after the Phoenicians realized that they were fooled, the Greeks start laughing at them. They're like, "Haha, we out duplicited the fucking Phoenicians, bitch." And they were all proud of themselves, even though even though the Greeks fell because they themselves got into a Phoenician mindset and their morals deteriorated and therefore their tribe deteriorated. Um, but anyways, but here's the thing about why this is one of the reasons that this is exciting to read this. Not because of all of what I just said. What I just said is just the history that we know, right, or quote unquote know. And here's the thing, though, right? I mean, everybody knows, or everybody who studies history knows that secret societies come from what we today would call the Middle East, right? Which back then it would be called Mesopotamia and Egypt mainly, and uh, Phoenicia and Canaan were just these small little middlemen. Um, and how do small little middlemen conquer? Right, they conquer through secret societies. Right, these merchant secret societies that go around fooling and tricking people. Um, I mean, if anybody wants to know about duplicity, there's a movie with Paul Newman, and he's in a group of con artists, right? And that's all secret societies are. They're con artists. And I think like in modern times, from what I know about secret societies, like I there was this Freemason who died, and he had only made like apparently degree 16 or 17. I don't know. He was a mid level Freemason, but he died, and me and some other people that somebody asked me to help them out, and they were unloading his storage facility. And this man liked to make things, right? He liked to make things. He was a builder and a maker, and that's the type of people they like to recruit: builders and makers, right? But um, the person who brought me in was telling me about his experience from what he heard from the guy, right? So I'm hearing this secondhand. This is what this guy told him about the Freemasons, right? Um, he said that the guy was frustrated because he'd go to these Freemasonic meetings, and he just thought that they were just discussing all these silly, stupid things, right? And he felt like he was wasting his time, kind of. I don't know. I think he probably liked some of the people he met there, maybe, but as far as the organization as a whole, he just didn't, get a lot out of it. From my see, here's the thing: like anybody who anybody who anybody who tells you the quote unquote history of the secret societies, or the quote unquote beliefs of the secret societies, you have to understand that that's not real. Like if you ever want to learn about secret societies, you're never going to be able to do it from a book, because that stuff's not allowed to be printed, because anybody who tries to print it's going to be killed, right? The thumb across the throat 3 times. You can't, like if you've ever read a book on Freemasonry, I'm sorry to tell you, but you wasted your time. You totally wasted your time, because it's all going to be a bunch of propaganda. Nobody's allowed to tell anybody about so we don't know what's going on in the world. We know secret societies control the world, and but like I'm looking from the outside in, just like you are, so we don't know. I mean, it's all just, there's conspiracy, but it's all just theory, right? We don't know. um And so, what's the best way to learn about secret societies? Well, that's why I was so interested in talking to this guy about his friend. I was like, oh, yeah, tell me about, la, 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 la. So I could get from this guy's dead mouth, what he thought about the Freemasons and all that. Um, but, another way of learning about them, I think, is totally just to look at the world around us, right? We're living in a world where our consent is being manufactured, right? This is exactly Phoenician type stuff, right? Where they'd go around manufacturing the consent of the Mediterranean peoples 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Um, Now, where do secret societies begin? What are the first recorded instances? The first recorded instances of secret societies would be during Abraham's day, according to Moses, right? And so Moses came in fighting against the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, and he was against this bullshit, right? Because Moses was a man of virtue and morality, and merit, right? And there's no merit in these secret societies, in these merchant aristocracies. There's no merit. And so, it's all about position and the deadly game, and this bullshit. Now, and just it's about the glorification of toxicity, basically. But that's why these stories, can be very boring, because you have all these stupid idiots that you don't care about, who are like Like again, like at the beginning, it calls this guy Keret noble, right? And this may be an indication that this author of this Legend of Keret doesn't agree, because he's the one writing all this stuff, and he's writing a bunch of characters who are pathetic, right? Like, what makes him noble? What makes, like, Carrot, like, does he have any talents? No. I mean, he's just a man who was born in the right place at the right time, right? Um, Anyways, so the first recorded instances that I know of would be in the book of Genesis, right? And this goes to um, like when Abraham goes up to his wife and he says, "Hey, babe, can you sleep with other men? Because these other men are going to kill me," right? He's talking about secret societies that exist in Mesopotamia and in the Levant, right? These are groups of men. So this is pre-Phoenician and pre-Canaan. Um, this is so the Phoenicians, I guess, weren't the first, because Abraham was fighting against secret societies. But again, we have to go back to that Paul Newman movie, right? That's what these men are doing, except for they're murderers, unlike in the Paul Newman movie. These are groups of con men who will come up to Abraham, who's a merchant, right? Abraham is a pastoralist, but he pastorals, gathers a bunch of ingredient or a bunch of stuff to sell, and then he'll go sell it, right? And he goes into these cities to sell all of the stuff that he and his little tribe of people have made. And there's men who come up to him in certain cities, because again, these secret societies don't exist all over the Mesopotamia. There are some cities who don't have it. There's some cities that do. And so, but he doesn't know which ones do and which ones don't, right? So he's going in, and that this is his main purpose for going in, right? He's doing the Lord's work. He's hunting these secret societies down in order to bring him down. That's what Abraham did. Abraham went into these cities, not knowing, because that's the thing. He was on the outside in, but he went in there to test them, right? God in the Torah is a searcher of hearts. That's what Abraham was doing. He was going around the Mediterranean and he was searching people's hearts. But that's the whole story of Abraham. Like, he had to have his wife sleep with other men, because these men were coming up to him, smiling in his face and calling him friend, right? They were breaking with the laws of hospitality, which is what secret societies do. The like the Freemasons say that they believe in reason, but they also say they believe in the soul, right? But this is doublespeak, right? This is total doublespeak. And they do believe in reason and the soul, right? But you have to go back to this idea of the modern leaders of the United States know how to manufacture consent. So when they talk about the soul, they're not really necessarily talking about religion and God and the metaphysical soul. When they talk about the soul, they're talking more generically about basically, psychology. And so when they say they believe in reason and the soul, well, they're talking about the ability to learn how to manufacture consent, right? Um, the ability to falsify freedom's name, basically. So, um, so Abraham was, fighting against the secret societies. Moses himself was fighting against the secret societies of his own day. And when he went into Canaan, I think I've proven very clearly that he sent in um, half the Jewish population into Canaan as spies, right? Because when Joshua entered into Canaan to conquer it, which he didn't, Moses did, right? Joshua was just a rube. Anyways, when Joshua entered in, um, according to the text, it says that not one person who entered into the land of Canaan to conquer it was born in Egypt, right? So it's like, where the fuck did all those other people go? Like, I've never heard anybody talk about this my whole life. Not a Jew, not a Protestant, not a Catholic, not a Muslim. Like, what the fuck? Like, where the fuck did all these people go? Like, not one person who was born in Egypt entered in. Well, they all, like Moses, tested them all. He killed the ones he didn't like. He killed the Jews he didn't like. And the Jews he did like, the Jews that did pass his test, right? Because Moses was a searcher of hearts, like his hero Abraham. He searched the Jews' hearts, and we can see that in the golden calf thing. Like, he was ready. He had his soldiers ready, and he's like, go kill these motherfuckers, you know? Um, and so the Jews that passed his test, he sent them into Canaan. And these Jews, and we could see that in one of the stories, right? This is not a history. This, like, they didn't even know what fucking history was back then, dumbasses. Like, goddamn. But in one of the stories, um, there was a Jew, an undercover Jew in the city, and he got this one woman out, right? But this was just a story that was representative of the reality, in that, again, it says that Moses will judge the Canaanites. He's not going in to conquer like all these evil, stupid Alexander the Great wannabes, these toxic fucking brutishness. No, he went in and the good Canaanites lived and the bad Canaanites died. And he knew that because he had set up his own secret society. Because it's all about the law and the heart, right? But that's a different thing. Anyways, going back to this Legend of Keret, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, where did secret societies begin? Maybe they've always been with us in human history. Um, I don't think so. I think that secret societies have existed generically all throughout history, definitely, but never codified and inherited like today. And I think because secret societies were codified and inherited all the way back from Phoenician days, which could suggest that there could still be some Phoenicians living amongst us, right? Um, but I think that that's why God, revealed Himself to Moses and Abraham like He did, and in order to combat, and I think that's the ultimate, you know, mission of the Jews is to finally defeat the secret societies. Um, but anyways, that's all just speculation. Going back to this Legend of Keret thing, we can totally see the mentality of these merchant aristocrats, and we can totally see the laws and the morality and their thought patterns on how they view other people, which many of the times they're narcissistic and they don't view other people. Um, so if you want to study secret societies, then studying these original texts, and of course trying to read in between the lines, unlike all these modern stupid scholars. Um, that's one of the reasons I'm excited about getting to this Legend of Keret thing. But I'm already blabbing on for 26 minutes. We'll get into the Legend of Keret thing again on the third video.